I kicked out my boyfriend's parents after his mom insulted me. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. Diane smiled and said it loud enough for everyone to hear. So this is where you ended up. Her heels were planted in my hallway like she owned the place, one suitcase open at her feet. Noah stood between us with both hands half raised, like he could hold the moment back. Gordon hovered behind her, eyes down, pretending he was just tired from the drive. I'm Maya, 28, and my entire life is built on small, careful choices that keep me safe. I work as a paramedic dispatcher, 12-hour shifts, headphones digging into my ears, guiding strangers through the worst minutes of their lives. It's not glamorous. It's honest. It pays for this apartment with the scuffed hardwood floors and the one thing I never had growing up, peace. This was supposed to be a 3-night visit. Noah promised. They'll be on their best behavior, babe. I told them it's your space. But Diane walked in and immediately started narrating my home like a bad apartment tour. Oh, a walk-up. How charming. Then she ran a finger along my bookshelf and inspected the dust like evidence. When she saw my dispatcher badge on the counter, she laughed. You answer phones, she said. That's cute. It's 9/11, I corrected. And you live alone? She continued, looking past me like she expected a better version of my life to appear. Noah, honey, I thought you said she was stable. Noah's jaw clenched. Mom, stop. I should have ended it right there. My home, my rules. Instead, I offered water, snacks, and the guest room, because Noah looked so relieved I was handling it. Then Diane opened the hallway closet and made a little sound. So cramped. I watched her eyes flick to the key hook by the kitchen, the spare key we keep for emergencies. My stomach tightened. It wasn't what she said. It was the way she scanned, like she was inventorying what she could take. I pulled Noah aside and whispered, if she disrespects me again, I'm done. He whispered back, please, just this weekend. The air felt thick, like a storm was already inside my walls. Then I noticed the envelope Diane slipped behind my kitchen toaster. Noah and I had been together almost 2 years, and I truly thought we were solid. He was warm in the ways I wasn't, bringing me soup after a night shift, rubbing my shoulders when the calls got bad, leaving sticky notes on my lunch like, you did good today. His parents were the one crack we never sealed. The first time I met Diane, she hugged Noah like she needed to prove he still belonged to her, then looked me up and down and said, you're petite. At brunch, she asked what I did for work, and when I said dispatcher, she tilted her head. So you don't actually go out in ambulances, she said. You're inside. I help keep people alive, I replied. Diane smiled the way people do when they want to end a conversation without admitting they lost it. Of course, that's important too. I swallowed it. Noah begged me not to take it personally, and I wanted to be the easy girlfriend, the one who didn't turn every dinner into a battlefield. But the digs kept stacking up. At Thanksgiving, she asked if I'd considered going back to school because Noah's career trajectory is promising. At Christmas, she gave me a self-help book called Upgrade Your Life and told me, ambition is attractive. The freshest cut was 2 weeks before their visit. We ran into his parents at an open house in their suburb. Diane stared at the listing price and sighed. Noah deserves something like this, she said, then turned to me. But it's hard when you're carrying someone. I laughed like it was a joke, because that's what women are trained to do to keep the peace. Noah squeezed my hand under the brochure, a silent apology he never said out loud. When his parents called and announced they were coming into the city, Noah's whole body tensed. Just 3 nights, he promised. Hotels are ridiculous right now. I agreed because I loved him. I agreed because I believed boundaries could be taught. I didn't yet understand Diane didn't want to visit me. She wanted to measure me. And that afternoon, while I was still making the bed with fresh sheets, Noah's phone lit up, and his face went strangely blank. They arrived Friday at 6:12 p.m. because Diane texted me the exact time like I was her concierge. Diane, traffic. Pulling up 6:12. Please have somewhere to park. We don't have assigned parking. We have a shared lot and a prayer. Noah carried Gordon's duffel in with that overly cheerful tone he uses when he's nervous. Welcome. Make yourselves at home. Diane took that literally. Before her second suitcase was even inside, she was rearranging my entryway bench. Shoes here, she declared, sliding my work boots like they offended her. Then she drifted through my living room, touching things: blanket, picture frames, shelves, like a museum curator deciding what belonged. "Oh, you still have roommates?" she asked, staring at the second bedroom door. "It's my office," I said. Diane blinked. "An office? For answering phones?" "It's 9/11, I repeated. Gordon made a small cough that could have been a laugh. "Diane, leave the girl alone." "I'm not being mean," she said instantly. "I'm just concerned. Noah works so hard. He deserves comfort." Then she walked into my kitchen and opened cabinets. Not one, three, like she was checking inventory in a rental unit. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Just seeing what you have," she said brightly. "We'll cook a proper dinner. You probably eat a lot of takeout." Jules called while they were still unpacking, and I stepped onto the balcony to breathe. "You okay?" Jules asked. "Not really," I admitted. "It already feels like they're testing me." Jules didn't hesitate. "Maya, you don't have to pass their test. It's your place." When I went back inside, Diane had found my lease folder in the kitchen drawer. I knew because it was on the counter, opened, like she'd been accidentally browsing. I closed it without a word. Later, Noah pulled me into the bedroom and whispered, "Please don't start something." "I'm not starting anything," I whispered back. "I'm ending it if she keeps going." He looked exhausted. "She's my mom. And this is my home," I said. At 11:03 p.m., I went to lock up, and the chain was already latched, something I never use. That night, I heard the soft click of my front door lock. Saturday started with Diane helping. She vacuumed at 7 a.m., like the carpet had personally offended her, then wiped my counters with lemon cleaner so sharp it made my eyes sting. When I walked in half awake, she smiled. "I figured I'd freshen up," she said. "Some people don't notice the odors." "Noah likes it here," I said. Diane's smile stayed frozen. "Men tolerate things. Until they don't." By dinner my nerves were cooked, so I asked Jules to stay on FaceTime, my lifeline. I propped the phone at the table. Jules waved from her couch. "Hi, I'm Jules." Diane's eyes flicked to the screen. "Oh, an audience." "It's my friend," I said, already regretting the softness. We lasted maybe 10 minutes before Diane set her fork down like she was about to make a speech. "Honey," she told Noah, "I worry about you." Noah's shoulders rose. "Mom, I'm serious." She turned to me, gaze sliding over my lanyard hanging on the chair. "Maya, you seem nice. But niceness isn't the same as stability." My throat tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means you answer emergencies all day, come home exhausted, and you're still in a starter apartment." Diane said starter like she was tasting something sour. "Noah is 30. He needs a partner who can match him." Jules' voice cut in. "He's lucky she keeps people alive for a living." Diane didn't even look at her. "You're the type of girl a man dates while he's building himself," she continued, eyes locked on me. "Not the woman he brings into the finished house." The room went so quiet I could hear my fridge click. I stared at Noah, waiting. He opened his mouth, shut it, and stared at his plate like it had answers. Something in me hardened. "Diane," I said, "you don't get to talk about me like that in my home." She tilted her head. "I'm being honest. Would you rather I lie?" "I'd rather you respect me," I said. "If you can't, this visit is over." Gordon finally spoke. "Diane, apologize." Diane laughed, soft and cruel. "Apologize for caring?" "Noah, tell her." Noah's voice came out small. "Maya, can we talk in private?" Diane's eyes slid past me to my kitchen wall, to the hook where the spare key hung. Diane smiled and reached for the spare key hanging by my sink. I stepped between Diane and the key hook and took the spare key off the wall, sliding it into my pocket. My voice stayed steady even though my hands were shaking. "You're done here," I said. "Pack your things. You're leaving tonight." Diane stared at me like I'd slapped her. "Excuse me." Noah stood up, palms out. "Maya, please." Gordon pushed his chair back. "Let's not get dramatic." Diane said something insensitive. "It happens." "Not here," I said. "Not to me." Diane's face tightened into that polished, wounded look. "I was trying to protect my son. Clearly you don't understand family." I pointed at the hallway. "Family doesn't insult me in my home." Noah's voice cracked. "They drove 4 hours. Can we just reset?" "Reset?" My laugh came out dry. She called me a placeholder. In front of my friend. Jules' voice from the phone was sharp. "Maya, don't you dare apologize." Diane snapped at the screen. "Stay out of this." I didn't raise my voice. "Noah, I'm not debating respect. I'm enforcing it. Noah swallowed. Where are they supposed to go? Hotel, I said. You can book it. Diane turned to Noah, desperate for control. Are you really going to let her throw us out? Noah's eyes flicked between us, trapped. Mom, stop. Gordon lowered his voice, gentle like poison. Maya, you're on the lease, right? You don't want trouble with your landlord. My stomach dropped, because he'd hit the exact fear I carried. I grabbed my lease folder from the counter and flipped it open with a finger that wouldn't stop trembling. Section 12, I said, reading aloud. Guests are permitted, but any stay over 7 consecutive nights requires written consent. I looked up. You're not residents. You have no rights here. Diane's mouth twitched. We'll see about that. At 10:47 p.m., I stood in the hallway while Diane snapped her suitcase shut. Noah carried their bags to the door, whispering apologies that didn't land. Diane paused on the threshold, eyes bright with controlled rage. You just made an enemy, Maya. I held the door open anyway. They walked out into the cold parking lot, Gordon stiff beside her, Noah frozen inside my doorway. As they crossed the threshold, Diane whispered a promise that turned my stomach. Noah didn't speak until the taillights disappeared from the parking lot. He shut the door, leaned his forehead against it, and exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Maya, you didn't have to do that. I stared at him. I didn't have to stop someone from insulting me in my own home. He rubbed his face. That's not what they're my parents. And I'm your partner, I said, voice thin. I'm not a trial period. This apartment isn't fancy, but it's mine in the only way that matters. I pay for it, I keep it, I protect it. I've never been late on rent. I've never had a complaint. When you grow up watching adults lose housing over one bad month, you start treating lease like scripture. Noah sank onto the couch, elbows on knees, staring at his phone like it was a bomb. She's just upset. She'll cool off. She didn't look upset, I said. She looked satisfied. At 11:26 p.m., Diane's texts started coming in, each one longer than the last. I'm deeply concerned about your outburst. Noah is devastated. You owe us an apology. You may not understand how leases work, but we do. Then a voicemail. Her voice was syrupy, performative. Maya, sweetheart, I'm worried you're unstable. I hope you get help before you ruin Noah's future. Jules called immediately. Tell me you didn't let them keep a key. I didn't, I said. I took the spare. Good, Jules said. Next, screenshot everything. Every message. Every call. Noah overheard and bristled. Why are you treating this like a crime? Because she just threatened my housing, I said, and my own voice surprised me with how calm it sounded. At 8:12 a.m., my email pinged with a message from my landlord's office. Subject, guest policy concern, Unit 3B. They wanted me to call Monday to clarify occupancy, like I'd done something wrong. The forwarded thread showed Diane claiming I was illegally subletting my apartment. By noon, my phone looked like it had been attacked. Calls from unknown numbers. A Facebook message request from a woman claiming to be Noah's aunt. Then a post Jules sent me with shaking hands. A screenshot of Diane's public status. Pray for our family. Noah's girlfriend had an episode and threw us out. Comments piled up. People I didn't know diagnosing me. Pitying Diane, praising her patience. Diane didn't use my name, but she didn't have to. Noah's hometown is small. Gossip travels like wildfire. Noah paced my living room. She shouldn't have posted that. So tell her to take it down, I said. He stopped short. If I push her, she'll spiral. I stared at him. She's already spiraling. On purpose. Another voicemail came in at 12:47 p.m., this time from Gordon. His voice was quieter, almost reasonable. Maya, we can pretend last night didn't happen. Diane is hurt. She wants to talk. Just let us come by for 15 minutes to pick up a few things. We left nothing, I said when I called back. There was a pause. Right, Gordon said, too quickly. Of course. Jules came over with iced coffee and a folder. We're building a timeline, she announced. Screenshots, call logs, everything. And check your work email. I laughed, like that was ridiculous, and then I checked, and my stomach dropped. A message from my supervisor's assistant. HR needs to speak with you Monday regarding a complaint. Noah's face went pale. My mom wouldn't call your job. I held up the email. Someone did. He opened his phone and scrolled, jaw tight. I can fix this. I'll talk to her. Talk isn't fixing, Jules said. Action is fixing. Noah hesitated, then confessed in a rush. She asked for your landlord's contact last week. Said she wanted to understand the building rules before visiting. I forwarded the leasing office email. My stomach flipped. You gave her my landlord? He looked wrecked. I didn't think she'd weaponize it. Jules exhaled sharply. Now we know how she found your lease buttons to push. Noah's voice dropped. Okay, but you need to know why she's so scared right now. My throat went dry. What do you mean? Noah said, Mom and Dad already lost their house once, and they're losing it again. Sunday morning I couldn't sleep, so I did the thing dispatchers do when our brains won't shut up. I looked for patterns. I pulled up my building's camera app. Nothing fancy, just the lobby feed we can access. At 6:41 a.m., Diane's car rolled through the lot and parked for exactly 4 minutes. She never came inside. She didn't have to. She just sat there, like a reminder. I made coffee and stared at my lease folder on the counter like it was a loaded weapon. Monday, HR wanted to discuss a complaint. Monday, the landlord wanted to clarify occupancy. Diane wasn't just angry. She was building a case. Then I checked my mailbox. Inside was an envelope that wasn't mine, addressed to Noah Harper, Unit 3B, with a bold red stamp. Final notice. My hands went cold. Noah's last name isn't Harper. He's always been Noah Reese. He looked over my shoulder and went white. That's not mine, he said. But it's my address, I said. Why is your name on mail here? He tried to laugh and failed. Maybe it's a mistake. Jules, on speaker, cut in. Open it. No, Noah snapped. That's illegal. I'm not stealing it, I said. It's in my box with my address. I slid a finger under the flap and pulled out a single sheet. It was from a private lender, dated February 2nd, with a balance due that made my stomach flip. $9,840. 17. Under borrower, it listed Noah Harper, and under co-signer, it listed Maya Singh. I stared at my own name like it was a hallucination. Noah, I whispered. Did you put me on something? He shook his head so fast it looked like panic. No, I swear. I would never. The form had a box labeled e-sign confirmation with a time stamp, February 1st, 9:18 p.m. I was on shift that night, logged into the dispatch console, headset on, taking calls. Jules' voice turned sharp. Maya, check your credit. Right now. I opened my banking app and saw an alert I'd ignored 2 days ago. New inquiry, Crescent Lending. My throat closed as I realized someone had used my information, and they'd used it recently. Then Noah's phone buzzed with a text from Diane that made him drop it. I didn't confront Diane right away, because confronting her would give her what she wanted, a messy fight she could narrate online. Instead, Monday morning I called in early to HR. Then I went straight to the leasing office with my screenshots, and that final notice letter folded in my pocket like a talisman. I didn't go in hot. I went in calm. I'm being harassed, I told the receptionist. I need a note in my file that no one but me can change my occupancy. The property manager pulled up my account and frowned. We actually received an email request to add 2 adults to your lease, she said slowly. My stomach lurched. From who? She turned the screen toward me. The email address was a Gmail I didn't recognize, but the signature line read, Diane Harper. Attached was a scanned occupant addendum, with my name typed in cursive where a signature should be. It looked like me if you squinted. It wasn't me. I did not send that, I said, voice tight. I believe you, she said. But we need it in writing. So I wrote a statement on the spot, dated February 8th, and asked them to flag my file. Jules, in the lobby, photographed everything like she was building a court case. On the way out, we sat in my car and pulled up the county court records on Jules' phone. We searched Diane's name. 2 results popped instantly. Eviction filing, 2021, and judgment, 2021. Noah stared at the screen like it was a punch. They told me that was a misunderstanding. Jules clicked deeper. Gordon's name popped too, with a different address and a note. Failure to pay. That's why they needed your address, Jules said softly. They're bleeding money and looking for a clean landing. Noah's hands were shaking. My mom would never forge your signature. I looked at him. Someone did. He finally cracked, voice breaking. She asked me last month if you'd co-sign something, and I told her you probably would. My heart dropped into my stomach, because that wasn't just naive, it was permission. Then my phone buzzed with a credit alert that made me gasp. The credit alert was from my card issuer. New account opened. Crescent lending. Not inquiry. Opened. As in, money already moved. I called Crescent lending from the number on the letter, put it on speaker, and waited through hold music. When a rep answered, I kept my voice level. I need to report fraud. Someone opened a loan using my identity. She asked verification questions I couldn't answer because the account wasn't mine. The rep said, I can flag it, but we'll need a police report and an affidavit. Noah looked sick. My mom wouldn't do that. Your mom already emailed my landlord pretending to be me? I said. Stop saying she wouldn't. At 3:18 p.m., my building intercom buzzed. Maya, a man's voice asked. Police. We're downstairs for a welfare check. My lungs forgot how to work. Jules was still on my couch, eyes wide. Noah stood up too fast. Why would? Because Diane. I opened the lobby camera feed. 2 uniformed officers stood by the mailboxes. Diane was behind them, arms folded, face arranged into concern. Gordon held a paper bag like he'd come bearing medicine. I didn't buzz them in. I called the non-emergency number instead. There are officers at my building for a welfare check, I said. The person who requested it is harassing me. I'm safe. I need this documented. Noah whispered, just talk to them. I will, I said, on camera. I opened my door, kept the chain latched, and spoke through the crack when they reached my floor. One officer said, Ma'am, we received a call that you were a danger to yourself. I smiled without humor. I'm fine. That's retaliation. Diane stepped forward like she owned the hallway. Maya, sweetheart, we were terrified. You were so volatile. Jules appeared behind me, phone raised, recording. Say that again, Diane. Diane's eyes flicked to the camera. We just want Noah safe. Noah stepped into view, face red. Mom, stop calling the police on her. Gordon's voice was low. We need to retrieve some important documents you accidentally took. I froze, because the only documents in my apartment were my lease and my identity. Then Diane smiled and said the words that changed everything. Diane's smile didn't waver as she spoke. You're being dramatic, she said, soft enough for the officers to hear, but sharp enough to cut me. You already signed what you needed to sign, Maya. My mouth went dry. I signed nothing. Gordon shifted the paper bag in his hands. We just need what's ours, he murmured. The officers looked uncomfortable. This was sliding into civil dispute territory. One asked me directly, Are you safe? Do you need medical attention? I met his eyes and said, I'm safe. I'm being harassed. Please note that. When they left, Diane didn't. She leaned closer to my chain door and whispered, You think this is your home because your name is on the lease. Names can be arranged. Jules caught every word on video. Noah stepped between us. Mom, leave. Diane's eyes softened instantly, like she'd rehearsed it. Honey, we're trying to protect you. Maya is unstable. She's panicking because she doesn't understand finance. Get out, I said, and my voice finally shook. Now, they left with the same calm they'd arrived with, which scared me more than yelling would have. That night, Jules and I spread everything on my kitchen table. Screenshots of Diane's post, the landlord email thread, the forged addendum, my credit alert, and a list of call times. We wrote dates in thick black marker like evidence tags. Noah, I said, I need you to pick a side. He looked like he was swallowing glass. I'm on yours. Tell me what to do. So I did. We filed a police report for identity theft first thing in the morning. Then I emailed the property manager a formal statement. No added occupants, no access granted, no permission for anyone to use my address. Next, I set a meeting at the leasing office for that afternoon and texted Diane one sentence. If you have paperwork with my signature, bring it, and we'll address it with management present. My thumbs hovered like I was baiting a trap. Diane texted, I'll bring the original, and everyone will see the truth. The leasing office conference room smelled like copier toner and stale coffee. Jules sat beside me with her folder. Noah sat on my other side, hands clasped tight. Across from us, Diane arrived in a cream coat like she was attending a luncheon. Gordon trailed behind her, eyes down. The property manager opened with practiced neutrality. This meeting is about unauthorized requests to modify Unit 3B's lease and reports of harassment. Diane gave a tiny laugh. Harassment? We're family. You forged my signature, I said. Diane's eyes widened. Maya, I have no idea what you're talking about. Jules slid her phone across the table and played the hallway video. Diane's voice filled the room. Names can be arranged. For the first time, Diane's smile twitched. The property manager turned her monitor so we could all see the email chain. We received an occupant addendum request on February 3rd. Sender, Diane Harper. Requested occupants, Diane Harper and Gordon Harper. Gordon's shoulders sagged. Diane's tone sharpened. We were only asking to stay temporarily. Maya panicked. The property manager didn't look up. The request included an electronic signature from Maya Singh. I leaned forward. That isn't mine. Noah's voice cracked. Mom, tell me you didn't. Diane lifted her chin. I did what I had to do. The room went silent. She turned to Noah like he was the only person who mattered. Your father and I are in trouble. We needed a stable address, a clean lease history, and time. You were supposed to help, and she humiliated us. You stole my identity, I whispered. Diane waved a hand. Don't be dramatic. It was a cosigner form. You would have signed if you cared about Noah. Jules slapped a printed packet on the table, Crescent Lending's fraud response. Then explain why the loan application lists your phone number as the contact. Diane's face drained of color. Noah stared at the packet, then at his mother, voice flat. Why does this show my name as Noah Harper? Diane's lips parted, and for once, she had no polished answer. The lender's packet showed my social security number and Diane's phone number beside it. Everything moved fast after Diane lost control of the room. The property manager printed a no trespass notice for my unit and documented the attempted lease modification. Jules photographed it. I asked for copies of every email and attachment, then forwarded them to Crescent Lending along with my police report number. Later I learned Harper was the name attached to their old eviction judgment. Diane stood up so abruptly her chair scraped. You're ruining a family, she hissed. No, I said, voice low. You tried to ruin my life. Gordon didn't look at me. He looked at Noah, and for a second I saw the truth. Gordon had let Diane drive the car, but he'd never tried to stop her. Outside, Diane grabbed Noah's arm. Come with us. Now. Noah pulled away. Mom, you committed fraud. She's turning you against us, Diane snapped. This is what low-class women do. They trap men and punish mothers. My stomach clenched, but I didn't flinch this time. Say it louder, Jules muttered, filming. The consequences started the same day. Crescent emailed. Account frozen pending investigation. The leasing office confirmed in writing, no occupants added. Access denied to third parties. I sent that to my landlord with a calm note. Please keep all communication in writing. Then Monday came. HR sat me down with a printed complaint. It was full of buzzwords, unstable, aggressive, unfit for high-stress work. The date matched Diane's smear post. I handed over my screenshots and the welfare check incident number and watched HR's expression shift from skeptical to alarmed. Still, I left the meeting shaky. Even when you're right, being accused stains you. That night, Noah stared at his phone for a long time, then said, Mom says if we drop the police report, she'll delete everything. I blinked. You want me to negotiate with my identity? He looked torn in half. I want this to stop. So do I said. By holding her accountable. Noah's voice dropped to a whisper that didn't feel like support at all. Noah whispered, if you file this, I lose my parents forever. I didn't try to win Noah over with speeches. I gave him a boundary with a deadline. I love you, I told him, but I can't share a life with someone who negotiates with my safety. Jules sat at my kitchen table, arms crossed, silently cheering me on. Noah's eyes were red. What do you need from me? Action, I said. Not promises. First, you move out for now. Second, you send a written statement to Crescent and the police confirming you didn't authorize any loan or lease change. Third, you stop taking calls from your mom unless it's recorded or in writing. He looked like I'd asked him to cut off a limb. Then he nodded, once, hard. Okay. That night, he packed a duffel. When he reached the door, he paused. I didn't realize how much I'd been managing her for my whole life, he said quietly. I thought keeping the peace was love. It's not, I said. It's fear. After he left, I rebuilt my sense of home, like it was a muscle. I requested a lock change through the leasing office and paid the fee myself, keeping the receipt. I installed a small door camera and printed Diane and Gordon's photos for building security, with a note, do not buzz them in. I saved every voicemail to a cloud folder labeled Diane. Like that alone could keep me safe. I also started therapy again. Not because Diane was right about me being unstable, but because my nervous system didn't care who was right. It cared that I'd been threatened in my own hallway. Noah showed proof within 48 hours, an email to Crescent, a signed statement for the police, and a message to Diane that simply read, "Stop contacting Maya. Any further contact will be documented." Diane's response was instant and vicious. "She's poisoning you. I hope she's worth it." For the first time, Noah didn't reply. Weeks passed. The smear post disappeared. HR closed my case. Crescent confirmed the account was fraud and removed the inquiry from my report. I could breathe again, until one afternoon my mailbox held an envelope that felt heavier than paper. 3 weeks later, a certified letter arrived with Diane's name in bold. The certified letter wasn't an apology. Of course it wasn't. It was a demand typed on attorney letterhead, accusing me of defamation, emotional distress, and interference with familial relations. It demanded I cease all accusations, withdraw my police report, and pay Diane for travel costs and reputational damage. The amount was absurd, like she'd picked a number that sounded expensive. Jules read it, snorted, and said, "She's still trying to win with paperwork." I didn't reply. I scanned it, saved it, and forwarded it to the officer handling my report and to Crescent's fraud department. Then I took a photo of it on my counter beside my rent receipt, my own little reminder that facts don't care about Diane's story. Noah came over a week later to talk, sitting on the very edge of my couch like he didn't deserve the cushion. "They're telling everyone you manipulated me," he said. "My dad hasn't spoken to me." I watched his face and realized something. He wasn't asking me to fix it. He was grieving that he finally saw it. "I'm sorry," he said, voice cracking, "for giving her your landlord. For asking you to swallow disrespect so I didn't have to feel uncomfortable. I accepted it longer than I should have," I admitted, "because I wanted to be easy. But easy is how people move into your life and start rearranging it. We're still together, but it's different now. We don't do vague promises. We do written boundaries, specific consequences, and follow through." Noah started therapy. I keep my door camera on. I don't answer unknown numbers. I don't confuse someone's concern with love. Here's what I learned the hard way. When someone insults you in your own home, they're not just testing your feelings, they're testing your rights. Document everything. Keep it in writing. Tell your landlord first. File the report. Don't wait for the situation to calm down, because calm is often just the pause before the next attempt. I used to think boundaries were rude, especially as a woman. Now I know boundaries are how you stay safe enough to be kind.